not a cause of primary hyperthyroidism. Okay, so the principle is very simple, right? So we have a pituitary gland which is under the control of hypothalamus, and we have a thyroid gland. Okay, so we know that hypothalamus produces a hormone called as TRH, which stimulates the anterior pituitary gland to produce a hormone called as TSH, and this TSH stimulates the thyroid gland to produce hormones called as T3 and T4, right? Now, if there is a problem of the thyroid gland itself, we will call it as primary defect. If the problem is of the anterior pituitary gland, we will call it as secondary. And if there's a problem of the hypothalamus, we will call it as tertiary defect, right? Applies same to hypo as well as hyperthyroidism. To call it as primary hyperthyroidism, right, the excess thyroid hormone should be coming from the thyroid gland itself. Okay, so in case of Graves' disease, right, there are stimulating antibodies, right? They're called as TSIs, thyroid stimulating immunoglobulins. Basically, what happens is the TSH receptors that are there on the thyroid gland, these antibodies come and bind and activate it, right? They're stimulating instead of inhibiting it. So because of that, you have increased T3, T4 production from the thyroid gland. So it's like those antibodies are mimicking being TSH on the thyroid gland. So the excess hormone is coming from the thyroid gland, right? There's nothing abnormal with the anterior pituitary. So that Graves' disease is primarily a primary hypothyroidism. Okay. Thyrotoxicosis factitia, right? What is this factitia? You know the word, right? Factitia means feigning, or someone is administering drugs externally. So thyrotoxicosis factitia is where patient is trying to feign hyperthyroidism by taking excess quantities of thyroid hormone supplementation, right? Now here, this extra hormone is not coming from the thyroid gland, right? So it cannot be called as primary hyperthyroidism. Okay, so when you say toxic multinodular goiter, that means there are multiple nodules in the thyroid gland which are active, right? That's why we are calling them as toxic. They are producing the T3, T4. So this T3, T4 is coming from the thyroid gland itself. So that is also will be counted as primary. Toxic adenoma, instead of multiple, there is only one adenoma, right? One small tumor in the thyroid gland which is producing too much of T3, T4. Again, primary, right? So our option B, thyrotoxicosis factitia, becomes not a cause for primary hyperthyroidism. So option B would be the correct answer, because here the hormone is not coming from the thyroid gland. It is being administered from the external sources. So from me, that's it here, guys. Thank you.